Don't plan more than 3 months ahead.
Okay.
As a startup, you need to constantly adjust.
If I hear your story, everything sounds like really magical.
It was gut feeling. We built very long-lasting relationships, and they're more powerful each time. If you give something to someone, they want to give something back.
Hey, awesome people! Welcome to Bootstrap Stories, the only podcast where founders of bootstrap companies share in all transparency the ups and downs of their journey. Starting a business comes hand in hand with loneliness, the pressure of not being successful, and overall, lots of challenges. After meeting with hundreds of entrepreneurs in the past years, I figured out that we all have struggles and make lots of mistakes when building a business. But the truth is that most people are afraid to share this publicly. That's what motivated me to start this podcast, to show that we're all on the same journey, facing the same struggles, and to give energy to all entrepreneurs worldwide to continue their adventure. Even if sometimes it can be really challenging and we often feel like giving up, in the end, it's all worth it. Today, I'll chat with Lucjan Suski, co-founder and CEO at Surfer. Hey, Lucjan, welcome to Bootstrap Stories.
Hey, G. Super happy to be here.
Super happy to have you on the podcast. And before we get started, I just want to outline the different topics that we will discuss in this episode. So in the first part of the podcast, I want to find out what strategy helped you to grow your business. Next, I want to go through like the ups and downs. We were discussing that like a few minutes earlier. So really want you to go deep into the challenges and share this with our audience. And in the end, I will see how you plan to build further Surfer and what are your next milestones for the next years. And again, finishing with flash questions that I love to finish with at the end. Sounds good for you? Awesome. Cool.
Let's get it.
Yeah, so I saw that you started Surfer in 2017. So we're in 2021. Can you let us know a bit about the story so far? How did it got started and what's the current numbers right now?
Sure. So we started like mid 2017. And there were three of us, myself, my brother Michał, and Sławek. And we, the story is that Sławek used to run SEO agency or digital marketing agency in Poland, and he built something, crazy in small village, like built a team of 20, 30 people now. That's like everyone started from ground up, and he actually created processes to teach everything to them. And one of the things that he kind of taught was this methodology of SEO that was basing on competitor analysis. So trying to figure out what are those different factors that made competitors rank high, and I mostly mean the on-page factors. So how long were the articles? What different keywords people used, competitors used in those articles, and try to map all that into a picture of what should my website look like when it comes to the content, to the website structure, and so on, in order to rank. And they ran it successfully because they kind of based this whole company on top of that method. But it was all manual and obviously error prone. So they did manually counting even the words, different keywords and so on, headings, paragraphs, and pasting into Excel and then trying to compare. It was it worked, but it was really time consuming. And at the same time, Michał started working there. And he quickly became head of SEO. So he was really involved in creating this process. And I used to work back then at Strategizer, this company behind business model Canvas. And I was like, it was itching me to start my own business, like try to use those tools, use this knowledge I had. So we have shared about this, thing they do. at this agency, and I thought, okay, let's try to productize it. Let's try to make the SaaS out of it, and that's how we started.
Awesome. So basically, you used the money from the agency, like they were making, to productize, or did you start something like from scratch?
Yeah, not really, because as we started, like I was still working back then. So I worked after hours, weekends, and so on, and created a prototype.
Okay. How long did you work for? Yeah. How long did you work for during this transition time?
A few months, I guess. Okay. I'll try to make the story, complete, and probably I'll recall the exact number.
Awesome.
So I guess, I created the prototype and showed it to guys, and we knew we can actually make something out of it. So it was like mid 2017. So what we went into, building more features on top of that, but from the very beginning, this tool have been used in this agency. So we had the first client, even if not paying, that's okay. You need to, have the clients early, obviously.
You knew it was helpful, basically, yeah.
Yeah, and it was, our own things, something that we understand what problem we are solving. It also makes it much easier to figure out what to do next if you don't have to constantly, talk to customers. So we had this customer, the very first customer in the company, which was, ideal situation for building this product. And we went like that, I guess, 1 year. Actually, before we went full time. So it was quite a long time. We didn't even ask for any money from our customers. We did kind of like open beta, which was free, just November 2017 on one of the biggest Polish SEO conferences. And immediately like hundreds of people signed up to Surfer, and it was amazing to just see the Slack buzzing that sign up, even if it wasn't about the money yet, because money didn't come until the year after, actually. So we kept this open beta for 1 year for free, which also like it was very important for us, because we managed to build very early relationships with our customers, because we gave them something in exchange, because if you give something to someone, they want to give something back. So what they gave back was the feedback, was the they kind of spread the word about this thing, and it was innovation back then. There was one competitor which we weren't aware of until we actually released the tool, which was Cora. But no one actually did that. And maybe people were just doing manually, whatever they did in the agency. So having the tool for doing all that automatically was, very, very a bless for many customers.
That's really nice. And just to kind of like wrap up the story, you started helping your brother and your other friend, like in the agency. You built a tool. The agency was also customer, so you could see like what feature was working, the one that were really like benefiting everyone. And you kept the beta open for about a year. So it was a free beta. You didn't put any like gates. So for example, like, was it accessible to everyone?
No, the idea was that the more customers will have, the better, because we need to know if it's actually useful. So it was thought to be as only email, password, and boom, you see the tool, you can access it, and there was no gating.
And do you regret this strategy, or do you feel like it was the good one?
Not at all. It was the only one, because that's the point. We didn't have any audience beforehand. We didn't have any connections. We was just 3 guys from small village in Poland. That's it. We didn't know anyone. Even on the Polish market, we were barely known. So we had to go quickly, make ourselves recognizable. And that was the only way, because you can be a huge company, and they like a huge funder, like you do like I don't know, sell books, then sell courses, and then you build a company on top of that audience. and then you can play with closed access. But it was
in your case, yeah, it was
yeah.
But I understand actually. Like it's funny because we started the Lemlist the same way. We had no audience back then. We didn't know anybody, so we said, okay, like make it like really free. But when I've seen like when you start building your audience, as you said, something you can definitely do is create like a gate. So like not make it accessible to everyone, invite only, use basically like scarcity and all these tactics and strategy to just build the hype and also select only relevant people. So for you, was it like something difficult, like to just exclude the one that didn't fit? Because the truth is like when something is free, you sometimes, like in our case, I'm going to take an example and then you can share your story. But in our case, for example, at first, we had so many different use cases that it was difficult for us to know what was the one we wanted to focus on. So did you have this issue? And also like, how did you manage to find like your ideal customer profile?
You got a point, because it might not have been gated, like explicitly invite only, but after you signed up, you type the keyword and all you saw is, data, charts, browsing, different factors that don't mean anything to anyone but SEO expert. So that was our gate, actually.
Okay.
So only people interested and experts could actually make sense out of it.
Okay.
So I guess you couldn't, like, you would just go away if you.
Okay. Yeah, the selection would happen like naturally. It's like Darwinism. And basically, like, let's go back to that time. So you spent a year, you gather like a lot of free users, and now comes a time where, okay, like you've quit your job. It's now time to make money, like you're with your brother and everything, but you gotta eat, So what happened exactly? Like, so how did you convert them?
Obviously, as any, founder that's on the beginning on his journey or her journey, we started to look for investment, right? Because how else you can build the company? How else you can feel safe that you are, we didn't even think about not having salaries. That was, really nothing that we could agree on. And we spoke to some, and we actually at some point, and it was like August 2018, we even got a term sheet for like we had like $300,000 for 30% of the company, which was from this perspective I have now ridiculous, but at that point it made a lot of sense to us. So we had this term sheet signed, and this investor convinced us to, radically lower down our salaries. That we had a huge fight over that, but finally, okay, let's do this. And then what happened? We released our early access package so that you could secure. You can buy upfront server for one year with 3 years price guarantee, and it was like $400. Okay. And we saw 20 people purchase that, and we were like, wait a minute.
Do we really need an investment right now?
Yeah. And then Black Friday came, the first one, the turning point, which was crazy. And we sold like 200 deals and recurring ones. So it was, suddenly we started to make money, and the investor was not ready with their money yet. So we couldn't sign the final agreement. They postponed it 1 time, 2 times. And then we saw, okay, maybe it's wise to rethink if we actually need an investor. And we made this decision, which was, a good one. And I'm glad we made that decision to kind of walk away from the deal, so that we can talk right now about bootstrapping.
That's nice. And after that, like, is it a topic like that came to your mind? Because right now you're like past 2 million in ARR or something.
I don't know. We are past like 8 million.
Past 8 million. Okay. So past 8 million in ARR. And what's your feeling about like raising fund? Because you've been profitable from early days. have you changed your mind? Like, is it something you're considering? Like,
It's it's hard we are really really hard to invest in companies because we know that our value is much higher than any investor could pay.
Okay.
And at the same time, we don't need a lot of cash at hand because we are profitable. We have positive cash flow. We just, we can invest our own money. So we don't really need an investor right now. That's one part. And the second, investors cannot pay as much as we want. So right now it's hard to imagine for me that we got an investor in next 3 months. But there are some cases that make sense to get an investor, even if you're bootstrapped, even if you don't need the money. Because, for example, if you issue the ESOP, like we didn't do that yet because we still are waiting for the US flip to happen. So we kind of moving the Polish company to the US.
Why are you doing that?
Like one thing is the ESOP, so that we can actually able to hire people from the US.
Okay, so right now you want to hire people in the US. Okay.
Yeah, so especially like marketing talent and sales talent, it's hard to find really experts here in Europe. And like in Poland, the law is kind of not really supporting things like ESOP, so it's probably impossible to issue it. Okay. And if we are flipping the company somewhere, the US makes the most sense probably.
What's the customer repartition for you? Like, do you have most of your customers already in the US, or is it just like a market you want to? Okay.
Over 60% probably right now. So most of the customers are from the US, definitely. But if you want to issue the ESOP, you need to somehow prove the value of your company. You can tell, okay, I'm worth $50 million, $100 million. Obviously, founder will say it, but no one will believe it until they see someone else, making the check. So raising selling 0.5% or 1% of the company and cashing out or having this cash, but proving the valuation is one thing where investment makes sense. But you'll do it on your own terms, obviously, and not like you have to do it. Also, you don't have to agree for, board of directors and so on. You can just continue moving the company in your direction.
Nice.
Because it's a burden. We know it also from experience that trying to please anyone who's not the founder, especially if you are 3 founders, we have 2 late co-founders, so it's hard to please everyone. And the more people you bring from external sources, the more people you have to please, basically.
So in total, you're 5 co-founders, is that correct?
Yeah, so we're 3 at the very beginning, but 2018, before we started charging to...
You added like 2 more? Okay. And how did you split like the capital, and who are the 2 person you added as co-founders?
They had less than 10% total.
Okay.
The late co-founders. And one of them was old friend of mine who's a developer, and he kind of looked for a change, and he's like very adventurous.
Okay.
He's like, I don't know this shit, but let's jump right in.
Okay, that's cool. And how long did it take? You like to all of you, like the 5 person, get the first paycheck, like the first salary?
Oh, that's so most of us worked without a salary at all for 1 year. So probably 2019, late 2019 until we started actually getting salary.
Okay, and is it, do you often increase your salary, or are you more of because I see 2 types of founders. For example, in our company, what we do is like we increase our salary often because we want to feel that the company is growing. And I feel like whenever you increase your salary, you get much more ambitious just because you're getting more money. And I see also like the other type of founders who are like, I'm taking the minimum salary possible so I can reinvest in the company. So which one of the two types are you?
Kind of in the middle,
Okay.
balancing stuff. Because we started low, we started really low, but we ramped up very quickly until we got to the point, okay, this is really satisfies us.
Okay.
And this is the salary that I would make anywhere else. So as a developer, like with over 10 years of experience, I could make a lot of money elsewhere. But at the same time, it didn't make a lot of sense for me to pay more salary than I need, because the best investment I can make out of this money is in server.
Okay.
So that's why we try to invest as much as possible in server, and that's
Nice.
not always successful. So we I would say have to pay dividends from time to time. But yeah, this is the best investment I could make. So
And
okay, that's cool. And if we go back to basically like the part where you had like your first customers, you started with a free beta, you converted them with the launch, then the Black Friday. But how exactly were these people coming in, like in the early days? Was it just like word of mouth? Because you're a SEO tool, were you like working really hard on SEO as well? Like how exactly did that work out?
We don't do SEO yet, even after 3 years. We barely touched our content, because the thing is, if you are competing in SEO niche, you need to have huge domain, like a lot of links, a lot of authority. So it didn't make sense at all to start with SEO. And the growth we have seen. So we tried to start locally. So we launched on Polish SEO conference, but always think globally. So even though our 90% of our first customers were Polish, we never translated our application in Polish, because it would slow down the further development of our product, and we had really limited resources because it was only me and a friend of mine. So we had to kind of figure out our own way on how to get global, basically. So what happened? We started to meet people, either from our customer base or the events we attended, or even later on we organized a few SEO conferences in Poland in 2019. We started to meet more and more influential people, and they were really raving about Surfer, because it was really either the problem they have seen, they did all the stuff manually, or even didn't think it can work that way. And we showed them something new, something that, okay, you can now do SEO without backlinks, which is amazing, and it really worked. So if your product is working, then going after influencers step by step can make you recognized across the whole.
So if I understand correctly, your strategy was really like either talk to your existing users and potentially like get them to talk about your product in their
community. Relationships with our customers, create community, build a community among them, and nice. This was our strategy, and still is. Also, like we kind of 24/7 have been for our customers on intercom, like founders talking all the time with people on chat and then on Meet or wherever. So always be there for customers. And then we built very long-lasting relationships, dozens of them, and the more powerful each time. So finally we met Matt Diggity, who organized the SEO conference in Chiang Mai, which is one of the biggest ones in the world. And we managed to get there as the sponsor. And actually, when we went there, it was also a turning point for us, because we finally see, okay, those people are real, the customers are real, and they saw us as real human beings. And actually, most of the people talked about Surfer, because that was, this new thing. And so cool guys are behind it. So our stand was really, all the time filled with people, and we couldn't find time to breathe, actually.
No, that's cool. And SEO is like a really crowded market. We also, like with Lemley, started in a crowded market. What was like your strategy to stand out from all the other tools? Was it to kind of like niche it down to a specific functionality, or was it and be like the best at it, or was it different positioning? How exactly did that work out?
So SEO is wild. And as we started, we was in SEO industry, but the tools that we created a whole new category of SEO tools. Actually, we were pioneers of on-page SEO tools, content creation editors, and so on. So we niched down to one particular job you have to do in SEO, and it was we built the market, out of our community, because we are still in the position that people don't know they have problem that we solve. So we have to make sure that we actually, do a good job at telling them it's a problem worth solving.
So how exactly, like, is it just by educating people? Is it on the content you create, or?
We invest a lot, maybe not the blog content, but we invest a lot in videos, in webinars, in Facebook community, in conferences, and so on. So we try to always educate our customers on, how to basically do SEO in 2022.
And do you run a lot of ads as well, or
almost none, actually?
Okay.
Just a little bit of remarketing, but the budgets are $5,000.
And early on, you were talking about like influencers and the fact that like when they start seeing your tool, they start recommending it. Is it something where you decided like was it just a two-way relationship in the sense that okay, you help them because you're bringing an innovative tool and they are happy to talk about it, or did you also went through the route where you're like, okay, I love this guy, he's doing a great job in SEO, I want him to start or her to start talking about our product. Let me like get in touch with that person and pay them maybe, or give them like referral fee or something like that.
Really, we didn't outreach anyone. It was all inbound, natural, organic growth. So I'll be honest, we just started like a month or two having part-time sales job, and it's not even whole full-time. So it's we are definition of product-led growth in terms of B2B software, because it's interesting and it's puzzling me still how we grew so quickly, but we don't have any viral loops. We don't have any huge one thing we did, which is serving the brand really well, was to release Keyword Surfer, which is a Chrome extension for checking the search volumes of keywords for free. Because at the time there was this keywords everywhere, and they said, okay, you need to pay for it right now. And people were, oh no, it's $2 a month. I won't do that. And we were like, okay, we had the data, and
let's do it for free.
Let's do it for free, exactly. And we have right now like 300,000 users there, and they see every day, on Google, Surfer logo, and we also bring them a lot of value for free.
And is it the only free tool you have in the Surfer suite, or do you have also another freemium plan?
We have we don't have freemium plan at all right now. We even don't have trials, but we are releasing freemium tools from time to time, which are related to what we do, but it's not like you get into the product and use some part of it for free. It's like completely separate tools. Like Keyword Surfer was one, but we also did like outline generator based on AI, so that you just type keyword and you see proposals of headings you can use in the content, so you can build quickly a blog outline, for example. And it's also like for free. yet we have much, so more sophisticated module for that in paid app. So it's not like we get a lot of, direct conversions from that, either from keyword surfer or from the outline generator. But I think it serves the brand, the recognition.
And also like potentially also like the domain authority, right? Because if people love like a free tool, they would recommend it in their blog, which will drive you backlinks and then like a good brand authority. Okay, yeah, that's cool. So in total, how many like a free user would you have?
So I don't know. This keyword surfer is like 300,000. So I guess that's
okay.
And these are people who actually use it every day.
Okay, and do you like also offer support to the free users, or is it
not really? Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, but obviously they chat us on. They go to surferseo.com, open intercom, and and we, in that matter, we serve them or try to serve them, but it's not like dedicated effort.
And if I hear like your story, everything sounds like really magical. Like you started, you did like 1 year beta, you didn't know what was going to happen, had this investment, but in the end you're like, okay, you know what, fuck it, I'm making money. And then the growth was quite huge, met with industry experts, used that free tools to gather like and get great brand awareness. So I'm curious, like, were there any like hard times overall, whether it's with your co-founders or with acquisition or scaling? Like, what was tough for you during this last 4 years, 4 or 5 years?
I would say it's even between tough times and happy times.
Okay.
Because obviously there is a lot of effort you need to make. For example, if you are a sole founder, you don't have any co-founders. You don't have to establish relationships with anyone. You can just, if you feel well with yourself, then that's it. But if you have to, probably knew each other from before. It's easy. But we had 5.
Yeah.
So imagine,
must have been a mess.
It was a huge mess, and sometimes Surfer was on the brink of,
breaking
here or not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we managed to learn each other, how each other reacts, to calm down our emotions and so on. And right now, I see it pays off, because we know we have huge team to be there for ourselves. And obviously at the very beginning, there was a lot to do, right? So we could afford, we couldn't afford an employee for a long time, but we didn't really need one because of this very big founding team, right?
And what have you done, like concretely, like to help you like kind of manage these ups and downs? So for example, like with my 2 co-founders, it has always been like really challenging. We had like some hard times, very like a lot of moments as when the company is on the verge of just breaking and exploding. We took a coach that really helped us. Is it something you tried, or did you like just read on anywhere like about management and this type of issues? What have you done exactly?
So actually not much, we tried to understand each other. We didn't have a coach, which might help us actually. I think we might it might have been easier with a coach, but we couldn't afford one. So investor that we signed the term sheet with, he, let's say, coached us a little bit. But we had to do it on our own terms, and we tried to really understand what's the way of thinking of everyone, because everyone on the team, we were so different, very different, ideas, different expressions of their emotions and so on.
Can you give an example, like so people can picture like what would a normal fight look like, and how would you solve it? Like what would be the process?
So there is no, magical way to solve a conflict. You just need to wait, and you just need to think about how you behaved and Y and then the other party. The concrete example. So at the very beginning of after we went full time, I was like, okay, I see it working, but I have to work because, coming from full-time job, like 40-hour a week, to a startup where you have no salary, so you have to do even more in order to have better chances of success. Because what would happen if you don't succeed? Then you're out of $500,000 or whatever. So it was very motivating for us to work for no salary, but at the same time, we went from 40 hours a week to 70, 80 sometimes because it was so exciting, so motivating. But I was like, I wasn't sure if we establish correct, cap table at the very beginning, where we were just thinking about the side project, and now we have to jump 80 hours a week. So that was a real conflict that we had.
Okay.
But we kind of managed to go through it. It was like when you are negotiating, it always the result is that every side is feeling pain.
I think this is a tough time, discussing about percentage, because as you said, sometimes you might feel like you're doing more or that you're bringing more value. What was like the process to solving this? And were there, because you are 5, which is kind of like a really big founding team. So I'm curious to understand 2 things. First, what was your process in figuring out the exact shares that you will all get? And also, second thing is after you guys decided about the shares, did anyone after that kind of felt like, they got screwed and that they should get more, or that, and it came back,
Yeah, actually it never came back.
That's good.
because we thought, okay, we went through this once and that's enough, right? Because it was really, a really hard time. But everyone was on the same page after that. And there was no process of, it was gut feeling of how much should everyone get. And it still is something that, maybe if we went back and knowing what we know before, we would establish it very different. But it was a decision made back then we worked hard through this decision, and that's it. And you have to accept. And that's the way to go, because
can you explain the different percentage based on the roles, if you're okay to share this, or is it confidential?
No, I don't want to talk about the exact numbers, because
okay.
I could talk about my ones, but I'm not sure what other guys would say if I just shared everyone. So I got roughly 1/3 of the company, which is super fair, right? Because 3 co-founders, 1/3. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough time, and you better not come back to this and too often, and not renegotiate. You should be able to accept the idea that you established at the very beginning and move on, because that can crush the company. And
definitely.
We almost crashed because of that, because of I would say lack of acceptance of the previous.
Yeah, I've got a lot of friends, who started their company, they disagreed, then they agreed on something, but actually some people were definitely not okay with what happened, and maybe 6 months to a year later, when things are hard and the company is not growing as fast as expected, then people feel okay, why the fuck would I get less shares than this person who's in the same boat? And we're all so that's very tricky. That's very tricky. And did you face any challenges? Because I mean, if you look at your growth, it's quite exponential, like it's quite fast, etc. Like, but in the end, this is like the zoom out view of 5 years of growth, grind, hard work. Did you ever face like a plateau at some point that you had to kind of like push forward to break, or was it just like a linear or exponential growth from the start?
We never saw like plateau in our growth. So that's, it's great because we never felt this huge pressure. We have to keep pressure. We have to keep pressing, but on our terms. Also, it's because if you have external pressure, it's also sometimes healthy to feel it. In our case, we have to kind of make it up, because in the end there is no big pressure, but at the same time we want to keep growing, we want to keep learning, we want to keep meeting people, and you cannot just stop doing good work, right? But I'm really glad we never plateaued, and we never had this event that we ran out of cash or we couldn't pay people and so on. So
yeah, that's good. Let's cross fingers that it stays the same. And did you have any like really tough times with customers at some point? Like, I don't know, like customers leaving bad reviews because support was not good enough, or really unhappy customers, or anything you felt worth sharing for people? Because as SaaS founders, we all experience from time to time, angry or mad people, and I think it's good to share these stories.
I think if you are fair to your customers, we always have this customer-centric view. So we try to make the decisions, for example, around the promotions. Like we have a Black Friday, so we know we can, give the discount to new customers, which is, why we do the Black Friday, to bring new people. But at the same time, we feel, okay, what about our existing customers?
Yeah.
And it's a very rare case that companies do promotions for existing customers, which is, if you think about it, it's ridiculous, because that's how you are. That's where you are at this point, because of those existing customers.
Yeah.
So you have to be grateful, and you have to be fair always. And if you are fair, it will happen that customer will leave a bad review, or
So what you're saying is that during Black Friday, for example, instead of just giving an offer to new customers, what you do also is say, okay, and I'm assuming you're doing Black Friday only on a yearly plan. So basically you can kind of upsell also the monthly paying users.
It's also tricky in our case, because we don't really need people to buy annual plans, but still. So we didn't push for annuals on the Black Friday. We had monthly promo for 6 months, 30% discount, and then for yearly, we had 30% on top of the usual discount. So, but for whole year, so it was a bit better, but we saw like 50% of annual plans on the Black Friday.
How did your existing customers react? Because you were mentioning, like, did you offer that discount also to your existing one?
So we offered that discount when they went to annual. So that was our way to kind of let them participate. But that's not all. This Black Friday was really, something different, because we wanted to do something, exciting, a game out of it. So we thought, okay, maybe let's have a promotion that the more deals we sell on the Black Friday, we give some bonuses to not only to the new people, but to existing customers too. So you could not participate in Black Friday, not do anything, but still you'd gain those bonuses from the deals sold that we had. And that was, I don't see a lot of companies doing that.
Can you walk us through like the detailed process, just so people can see? So was it like, I don't know, like people had to share things, bring, I don't know, like...
Yeah, so actually no one had to do nothing. So it was just on the autopilot. So we set up a landing page where we had a counter of the deals sold and then 5 levels. So for one level first, like 100 deals sold, we gave everyone some feature unlimited for everyone who actually had active subscription before Black Friday. So on level 2, we increased the limits of usage. So for level 3, we do something else. And then people saw in the application this counter also growing. And they saw, okay, now I have much bigger limit because of the Black Friday deal, yet I didn't do anything. So they thought it was very cool. And still, if you give something to anyone, they want to give it back. So they shared. And we kind of crushed it because we had 1,800.
Nice. That's really good. So how many customers do you have right now in total?
9,000.
9,000, and you got like 1,800 in just one.
1,800 including the upgrades, but the new ones were, I don't know, around 800, 900 new customers. So
wow,
10%.
So
10% of the total base.
Yeah,
that's huge.
So those are huge. Yeah, and people even random people on LinkedIn saying, this deal from Surfer is great because it's like actually something fun. People watching this counter in the middle of the night. We were, hosting lives on Facebook when it came close, and we could just observe with customers how it went past the limit. So,
I guess it works.
Fun.
Yeah, and I guess it works well for you also because you can see like the kind of like limit growing and what people can get, etc., etc. And do you feel like by doing this you're kind of like losing a bit of the potential upsell that you could have get, or do you feel like usually like it's not a huge risk?
I would say on the contrary, because people start small and the discount is only temporary. So kind of after
for example,
6 months they go up. So it's kind of upsell for nothing.
So
we don't see a lot of upsells at all in our business, which is something we want to figure out. So kind of create something that will enable us to upsell.
And just trying to make sure to give an example, it's like, let's say that people pay $50 to get like the new deal with unlimited something. And that's, like the Black Friday deal is going on. You see like the more and more people buying it. So the person who had bought like this $50 deal now gets an extra feature. Does that mean that after 6 months, because the discount is over, on which plan would that person would be? On the first one is selected, or on the one that's maybe like an upsell because
on the first one. They'll keep all the bonuses on top until they cancel. It's also should work as an anti-churn solution so that people don't want to lose those bonuses.
Okay, so it's basically like if you churn all the good things that you had, it's over. And you just mentioned churn, so I'm curious, like is it an issue, or like is it something you're looking at?
It is crucial, because we don't see a problem in leads or people registering or buying. That's, we have a lot of them, but we see a lot of people churning, and that's our probably the biggest thing we can fix right now.
Do you feel like it's just because of the target, like the ICP, and potentially like, okay, it's small businesses, so they have like a higher tendency to churn?
Yes.
Or do you feel like
it is also because of small value, because we have no sales, because we have no customer success.
Okay.
Like dedicated account executives, it's not happening here. It's it's easy to have low churn if you sell $100,000 annual deals, and walking the customers through everything on when this process happens. But if you are fully self-serve startup, like you just sign up, you purchase, and here's the academy, here's the product, go use it, that's it. Then you have this growth of a lot of new users incoming, but at the same time you have the churn. So it is a bit of because of how we are doing things. But I feel we could improve that, and that's where is our focus right now.
So selling annual is actually quite good for you in the end. Like whenever you're upselling for an annual, it would reduce dramatically your churn. So those deals on Black Friday are actually like a smart move. And yeah, let's see, let's see next year. And have you done like any other things that you've seen helped to reduce churn, or so far it's still something you're exploring? And
nothing that nothing concrete we actually tried. We feel with the pricing, but only cosmetics, like different prices and different limits. So nothing revolutionary here. We constantly, improving our academy, our resources, our product itself, obviously too. But the churn is kind of stable. So
yeah,
I'll let you know when.
Okay, when you cracked it and you found like the silver bullet.
I guess it's because we are PLG and we don't have sales, so
nice.
You have to accept that.
I mean, we had like some great learning so far, and I want to be cautious with your time also. So one before getting to the 3 questions that will be fire questions. What would be your biggest lesson so far in those 4 years and a half running a business?
I would tell this: don't plan more than 3 months ahead, because we, as a startup, you need to constantly adjust to whatever happens, to your customers, to what they say, to who you meet, to who you don't meet. You can plan, okay, we'll do this, and that in 1 year. But it turns out after first thing, something happens that will make you to shift those plans, and people are hesitant to changing the plans. So create a culture that either is super open to change the plans that you have, or don't plan at all, which we went for.
Nice.
So we try to be very lean, like 3 months. It stops, because we tried obviously at the very beginning. Okay, we spent a lot of time on planning. All of the sticky notes, like 20 ideas for the product for the next year. And then we see those 20 stickies a year after, and 18 of them make no sense. So don't
I
do
love
that.
it. I like it.
You need to be lean.
I think it's a really good advice, especially like when you get started. Like don't plan like too much in advance. So now let's play a game. 3 fire questions for you to conclude this episode. What's your favorite book or podcast?
Recent book, Think Again, but by Adam Grant, which is basing on the idea of rethinking and being able to change your plans, basically. So what I said, it enforces this feedback. So
that's cool.
Really great book.
Cool.
Who's your favorite Bootstrap founder and why?
I guess Jason Fried from Basecamp, because they were pioneers of so much concepts that we just take for granted now. And I feel the books they've written, they changed the world for better.
Nice. And favorite thing to do to regain your motivation during hard times?
No silver bullet here. I just wait patiently for things to solve in their own time, because I observed that it happens, that I'm super worried about something, and in the end it kind of solves one way or another. So always be thoughtful about the past.
Okay.
And past problems that you solve.
Hide and wait.
It will solve. Yeah. So wait, and it works.
Awesome.
Also have a lot of sleep.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely important. Where do people can follow you, follow your journey, and follow Surfer?
The best would be on LinkedIn. So just find me on LinkedIn.
Okay, we'll put the link of your profile.
Awesome. I will do my best to post more and more interesting stuff.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Lucjan. It was really great having a chat with you. Have an amazing day and take care.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.